Please rewind this cassette.
Confession time. I love musicals, be it in the theater or in the cinematic form. I've been obsessed with the format ever since my childhood, and after all of those years, my favorite one is still Little Shop of Horrors. Originally a Roger Corman film from the early 60s, Little Shop of Horrors follows a florist's assistant who comes in possession of an alien plant that feeds off human blood.
Feed me. Feed me. Feed me. Who said that? You said that. You said that. Feed me. You said that. You can talk. I got a talking plant. Say it again. Feed me. Oh, boy. I never been to college and I ain't been around much. But I'd have been willing to bet there ain't no such thing as a talking plant.
In 1982, Alan Menken and Howard Ashman released an off-Broadway stage musical based off that movie. If you don't know who Alan Menken is, he's the guy behind several of the classic songs and scores of the Disney Renaissance era. Little Shop of Horrors put him on the map, and upon release the show was an instant critical and commercial success. Like with most things that are good, Hollywood got the idea of turning it into a film. At one point, Steven Spielberg was going to produce and Martin Scorsese was going to direct it in 3D. What the hell? Could you imagine? John Landis was also attached before the project fell through due to lawsuits. Once the air cleared, they brought in Frank Oz, who's best known for working with Jim Henson on The Muppets and being the voice of Yoda. Oz said he had found a way to give the musical a cinematic flair as he was worried that it was limited to the stage. They recast most of the lead roles from the play. The only actor who stayed on was the great Ellen Greene as Audrey. Seymour was played by the wonderful Rick Moranis, and Steve Martin was cast as the psychotic dentist Orin Scrivello. The rest of the cast is filled out with cameos from Jim Belushi, Christopher Guest, John Candy, and Bill Murray, filling in a role originally played by Jack Nicholson.
Is this Dr. Farb's office?
Just a minute.
Oh, yes. I see it is.
You can come in now.
My name is Wilberforce.
Wilberforce what?
Just Wilberforce. My first name is Wilbur. My last name is Force. I don't have a middle name.
Well, you have an appointment maybe?
No, but you were very highly recommended to me by one of your patients, a Mrs. S. Shiva. I do a lot of undertaking for her relatives.
Well, as you can see, I have a customer now, and I'm all booked up for the rest of the day, so you'll have to come back tomorrow.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I have 3 or 4 abscesses, a touch of pyorrhea, 9 or 10 cavities. I lost my pivot tooth, and I'm in terrible pain.
Levi Stubbs was the voice of Audrey II, the killer alien plant that is easily one of the greatest puppets in all of film history. How do you even begin to talk about Little Shop of Horrors? There's just so much to cover. At its best, the story plays as a parody and homage to B-movies, science fiction stories, horror, and musicals in general. The mix of genres and tones gives the tale a charming and original presentation that still feels fresh today. So let's start with the music. We open with the prologue, Little Shop of Horrors, performed by the 3 singing women we see throughout the background of the story. They help give the movie a backdrop of fantasy. It's also an annoyingly catchy earworm of a song. We then have Skid Row, my favorite number of the entire movie, which is sad because it's so early on. We get a perfect introduction to our lead characters and the bad hand they've been dealt in life. What I like about Skid Row is the universal appeal of this song. It doesn't have to just be a location, but the place you're at in your life. We can all relate to the wanting of some sort of escape out of one's current circumstances. This song very much feels like the Disney numbers Menken would be celebrated for later. Next comes Dadu, a song that serves as a backstory for how Seymour came in possession of Audrey II on the day of a solar eclipse. The old Chinese man sold it to Seymour for $1.95. This isn't much of a number, but it's a nice example of how musicals can give backstory via song. After that is Grow For Me, a song in which Seymour sings to Audrey II in desperation. This is a really nice number that helps move the plot along and once again reinforces Seymour's struggle for something more out of his life. Somewhere That's Green is a song from Audrey that shows her fantasy of a suburban life outside of the city. This is a really sweet and funny moment, and I love the transitions in this scene. The tone here is that of something special that I think demonstrates the special talents of Oz as a filmmaker. Some Fun Now is a short number that works as a way to show the passing of time with Seymour and the ever-growing plant. Audrey II has been feeding off the blood of Seymour's fingertips. Dentist is a fantastic and laugh-out-loud number with Martin going wonderfully over the top in the role. Every slapstick and visual gag works wonders here. I honestly think Martin deserved an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. And before you say I'm crazy, the late Gene Siskel felt the same way. Feed Me is the first big number from Audrey II, who is no longer satisfied with Seymour's fingertips and wants a more meaty meal. One of the most iconic and visually impressive moments of the entire movie, the lip sync and puppeteering on Audrey II hasn't aged a day. It's really fantastic. We now come to Suddenly Seymour. This is the most famous song of the play and the movie, and for good reason too. Both of our leads have been abused and have felt like they've never been accepted or loved by another person. Seymour lets Audrey know that he loves her for the person she is on the inside, not needing makeup and to try to come across as sexy, but just existing as who she really is. You don't need to worry because now I'm standing beside you. I'm your man. Audrey is at first overwhelmed at the idea of this, but soon accepts Seymour's love as the two embrace in one of the all-time great big screen kisses. I love this song, and I love Moranis in this scene. The way he puts his hands on Green's shoulders is just note perfect, and is really a testament to everyone out there who wants to be accepted. Supper Time is another great song that plays more into the horror elements of the story, but it is a lot of fun. The Meek Shall Inherit was shot for the movie but cut from the finished version, which is sad because this song is a real banger, and Seymour's dream sequence looks to be one of the more creative things Oz put together for the movie. There's still parts of this song in the final movie, and you can watch the deleted scenes on YouTube. Supper Time 2 comes in when Audrey II tricks and then attempts to eat Audrey in the finale. Luckily, she's saved by Seymour before the plant can finish the job. She's in a wedding dress, which is also just funny. Then it's a short reprise of Suddenly Seymour before we go into the big final number, Mean Green Mother from Outer Space. This song was written for the film and was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Song. This number kicks ass, and the special effects are just absolutely stunning. Seymour's fight with Audrey II is one of the most entertaining moments of the film. I love the singing in this song, and Audrey II truly feels unleashed here. This is also when Seymour discovers that Audrey II is from outer space. It's pretty great when the plant takes the gun and starts shooting at Seymour, and he pulls his pants down. Fantastic. The movie ends with Audrey and Seymour going to their dream house with a reprise of Somewhere That's Green, and then another reprise of Little Shop of Horrors, as we see a smaller version of the alien plant smile at the camera, letting us know that maybe the horror isn't done for our two characters. In the original ending, which cost $5 million to produce, Audrey and Seymour both die and the plants take over the world. This is the ending of the play, but was scrapped from the film after poor test screenings. You can now see this in the director's cut that was released on Blu-ray a few years ago. After hearing about it for so many years, I gotta say I was disappointed in it. I think it was the right choice to cut it. It just goes on for too long and sort of ruins the pace and energy of the story. You know, in the original play, Seymour is more of a villain in the way he assists Audrey II in killing the victims. As it's all a big joke, you can laugh at the finale. In the movie, Moranis gives Seymour more humanity and pathos. I'm not saying I needed a cliche happy ending, but the tragedy isn't well executed in my opinion. It was honestly a waste of time and money to shoot this. Don't get me wrong, the special effects are amazing, but I'm glad they changed it. I really don't like this ending. Oz had this to say about it. I learned a lesson. In a stage play, you kill the leads and they come out for a bow. In a movie, they don't come out for a bow. They're dead. They're gone, and so the audience lost the people they loved. As opposed to the theater audience where they know the two people who played Audrey and Seymour were still alive, they loved these people, and they hated us for it. Oz wasn't creatively satisfied with the new ending, but accepted the reality of the situation. I respect him and the writers for giving the people what they wanted, even at the cost of their own art, though Oz admits he didn't think Warner Brothers would release it with the original ending anyway, so who knows. With a budget of $25 million, the film grossed $39 million at the box office, which was not considered a success. Luckily, the movie went on to become a huge hit on home video and today remains a strong cult classic with fans all over the world. It really shocks me this movie didn't do better, and I'm not exactly sure why. Was it the marketing? To be fair, in the 80s, musicals were sort of dead from a cinematic point of view. That was at least until The Little Mermaid came out and changed everything. The script, which sticks pretty closely to the original play, is tight and wonderful in the way it mixes tones. I really have no issues with any scene in this movie. I think the dialogue is all funny and well written, the characters are all likable, even the villains. Seymour and Audrey's romance never feels forced, and there's just a lot of nice side gags that really help flesh out this world. It's a fine piece of work, it's a good screenplay. Frank Oz has directed a lot of movies I love, but this remains my favorite of his. His sense of comedic timing would serve him well later on with films like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, What About Bob, In and Out, and Bowfinger. I would say he's underrated as a filmmaker, and between him and Jim Henson, I think he overall made the better movies. In retrospect, he was the perfect choice to direct this. I don't think Audrey 2 would work as well without someone who had a background in puppets. But to Oz's credit, he also knew how to direct the people, and he was just really good with actors, and he was able to stage these musical numbers. He's a pretty classy director. It's really good stuff. He's a true legend that's still alive today, thank God, because it seems like everyone I like is dying. If I had to say what I think is the key to this movie's success, it's the hiring of Frank Oz and the casting of Rick Moranis as Seymour. Both of them elevate the material off the stage and turn this film into something beautiful and timeless. Moranis is one of my favorite comedians of all time, and it sucks he won't come out of retirement and do something new. I think he just makes music now. His singing voice is pretty good, and of course he nails the comedy, but everyone is pretty great in this, and this movie has enough charm for 5 movies. Even though it's based off so many things, it really does feel original. They're planning a remake with Scarlett Johansson, Taron Egerton, and Chris Evans, directed by Greg Berlanti. I always thought Charlie Day would make a good Seymour, but I've got no issues with Egerton. I really liked him in Rocket Man. I hope it's good and this time actually makes some money. Well, I don't even know if they're going to be filming it with COVID. If you're a fan and want to see something fun, on YouTube you can find a stage production with Ellen Greene reprising her role as Audrey, and Jake Gyllenhaal playing Seymour. He's a really good singer, and would later get critical acclaim for his performance in Sunday in the Park with George. Maybe one day they'll turn that into a movie and Jake can play the lead. It's really one of my favorite stage musicals ever done.
You don't have anything to worry about. You're a very nice girl, and I always knew you were. I mean, but behind the boots and the handcuffs, you know what I saw? A girl I respected. I still do. Lift up your head, wash off your mascara. Here, take my Kleenex, wipe that lipstick away. Show me your face, clean as the morning. No things more bad, but now they're okay.
The macabre of the story should be credited to Roger Corman, but it's really Menken who fleshed this thing out. Till this day, high school and minor theater productions perform the play. I've had some friends who hate it and think that Little Shop of Horrors has been overdone to death, and I can understand that on some level, but I don't really think that has any impact on the movie. Its lack of polish just reinforces the retro irony at its heart. It even has elements of comic books and Pulp Fiction. If you haven't seen it, you're in for a fun ride. So check it out.